welcome back to your Feel Good Breakfast Show. This is the perfect opportunity and space to have a lovely relationship chat, because a wedding is the final outcome of what can be a lengthy and overwhelming process of planning. And as if putting the entire thing together isn't stressful enough, having unhappy in-laws and parents bickering away doesn't also help anything. Now, in the spirit of the up-and-coming release of the Kandasami's The Wedding, we're going to delve into the drama that takes place behind the scenes when it comes to planning a wedding. So today we are asking the question, how should we deal with conflict around a wedding? Are you perhaps planning a wedding and need advice on how to tackle family arguments? We would love to hear from you. We also have our relationship expert, Dr. Eve, in the house, and she is here ready to discuss this hot topic, and our lines are open, so feel free to call us. It's 021 430 9881 with your questions and your comments. Dr. Eve, I don't think I have ever met a family or friends, in fact, that have planned a wedding that didn't come without drama attached to it.
I know. And, you know, I mean, I have to talk from personal experience because my daughter got married last year, as you know, and suddenly, literally, within moments of declaring this proposal, there was a shift that happened in the families. It just took a totally different tone. The relationships felt different. Everything suddenly shifted. And when you think about it, it's understandable because this is a major commitment on many levels.
And it's also the merging of two families.
The merging
because in the beginning
families.
it was they were on their own, they were on their own, but now they're actually coming together, so now we all actually have to be together.
Right, and it's a sense of territorialism that parents feel of like, okay, this is my territory, my child, and I have a right to be able to input and dictate exactly what I want or what I think should be happening according to our family values or cultural practices. And that's when the scrapping begins to happen. The punch-up begins to happen at that point, because before you didn't need to work together as families. Now you are merging. And that's when any underlying tension or differences in values will emerge with really quite negative consequences, actually.
And it turns it into a whole sour affair, because at the end of the day, people are forgetting about the happy couple, trying to, you know, plan their nuptials. It's now the family drama that takes center stage. So for a new couple going through something like this, what is the best way to resolve conflict? Because after the wedding, you are married and they're your family.
Yeah. I really learned from this that a couple should not be allowed, that's how strongly I feel, to get married until they are independent enough in terms of deciding what they want. If they can stick to their boundaries, if they are tight enough as a couple to actually be making decisions together and being able to say to the rest of the family, actually, this is us now as young adults or older adults getting married, and we're going to be making these decisions, and this is where you just don't fit in. The other element that I think is really vitally important is that a young couple should be able to finance some aspect of it as well, because it gives them an entitlement to be able to say what they want and what they don't want. So when one looks at what are the biggest scraps, what are they about, money will take precedence. That suddenly you've got to really talk about this very difficult thing, which you know is a difficult thing for people to talk about, which is how do we finance this wedding? And that brings into, well, what kind of wedding do we want? How many people do we want?
How much are we invite? Who can't we invite?
And money is huge. It's a huge financial commitment to have a wedding.
Financial commitment. Well, Dr. Eve's not going anywhere, of course. We would like to know if you, how would you deal with conflict around a wedding? Are you planning a wedding and need some advice on how to tackle the family arguments? Our lines are open. Feel free to stay anonymous. You can call us on 021 430 9881 with your questions or your comments. Our doctor expert, our relationship expert, Dr. Eve, she will be engaging with you on this topic, so stay tuned.
It's my Feel Good Breakfast Show.
Well, we are continuing our conversations with Dr. Eve. She's in the studio with us. We're talking relationships, and in particular families merging together when there's a wedding and, of course, conflict arising. We want to know from you, are you perhaps going through something like this, planning your wedding currently? And there's some family feuds. We would love to hear from you. Our lines are open. It's 021 430 9881. But Dr. Eve, when it comes to the factors that contributes to conflict, when it comes to planning a wedding, what would you say are the leading ones?
Right. Money is going to be the top one, Zoe. And if you consider what a wedding costs, and even lobola, I mean, the average cost of lobola today, 12 cows, it converts to about 120,000 Rand. Your wedding dress, anything, I mean, I'm being really conservative here, between 20 and 30,000 Rand. The rings, between 30 and 40,000 Rand. The honeymoon, even though they're wonderful packages, it can go from 15 to 30. I mean, that's your bottom line. I mean, it goes way up and people spend way more than that. And then the actual wedding itself, it can go up to 1,500 Rand a person, 2,000 Rand a person minimum with everything else that you've got. So there already is going to be your point of conflict, is how much are we going to be spending on this wedding because of this, as I said earlier, this huge financial commitment. And then the second thing that seems to really rub people up is the feeling of being excluded. Excluded. I'm not bridesmaid, or I'm not part of the retinue, or I'm not walking the bride down the aisle. I should be the one who's doing that. And it's not only a feeling of being excluded in a regular sense, it's public. So people feel publicly humiliated that they've been left out of this wedding, the very closeness of the wedding process that's going on. And that leads to a lot of frustration, tears, anger, of feeling I have a right to be at the side of the bride, or the right to be at the side of the groom, or I should be part of the wedding. So that brings a lot of problems as well.
I always wonder why people feel the entitlement that they need to be invited to someone's wedding. Like, I always wonder, I'm like, you don't have to invite everyone, but I suppose it's easier said than done. But I know when it comes to inviting family, I can imagine that also causes conflict, because mom wants to invite her friends or her family members.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So that would be another point of conflict as well, is the different kinds of people you're going to have. And by that, I don't only mean friends, but I mean blended families. Now, what do you do with the ex? What do you do with the stepdad and stepmom? Who's in the photographs? Is it mom's new date, or is it dad's new girlfriend? Who do you put in the photographs? And that can lead to so much disruption and tension in the family. And this couple are just in the middle of this, trying to navigate a perfect storm when really they're in it. It's really dreadfully unfair. So that will be it. It'll be money, it'll be a feeling of being excluded, and also the different kinds of personalities that are involved. And then the family dynamics that, as I said, were pre-existing.
Yeah.
But suddenly over here, they're highlighted, of who stands where, of who do we invite. It becomes really, really difficult. But the most difficult thing is when you've got this blended family situation. Does a stepbrother have the same rights as a regular brother? Well, who should be there? A step granny, a step mom? I mean, who should be at this wedding?
We have a lot of questions, and of course, if you perhaps have, feel free to call us. Dr. Eve is in studio. Our lines are open. It's 021 430 9881. We continue our relationship chat shortly.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back to your feel-good breakfast show, the local film, the Kandasani's The Wedding. It is releasing this coming Thursday, the 18th of April, in theatres. So, of course, a local film that also at least it highlights the topic we're also talking about today in our relationship chat. How to handle conflict around a wedding. And Dr. Eve is with us, so feel free to call us with your comments or questions. The lines are open. It's 021 430 9881. Dr. Eve, earlier we spoke about the different points that cause conflict. We also want to take a look at how to solve it, but you did put a poll up on Twitter. So taking a look at it, it says wedding tension, even punch-ups occur too commonly. Why do you think this happens on such a happy occasion? Now, taking a look, we have some votes coming in. Of course, there's money is your option to choose from. Someone feels excluded, complex family situation. So just to take a look, if I select money, we can take a look at what the results are. So 46% of people are actually agreeing, or they're saying money is the major cause cause for unhappiness. Someone feels excluded when it comes to wedding, only 15% of the votes. And complex family situations takes 39% of the votes.
Okay, so we've got money and complex family situations that happen. Yeah, when you think about today, how many people marry, divorce, one can understand why complex family relationships become really difficult.
Yes.
The other thing that happens around weddings is that less and less people are getting married today. And one of the reasons is because of exactly these three reasons. So actually it was a trick, you know, you didn't have to choose all three of them on the same reason. Yeah, but that's kind of very interesting, is that people are getting married way later, as you know, in their 30s. And that's also because they're financially independent.
And they want to be.
Yeah. And that allows them to have control over their own wedding.
Yes.
Without having to still be these little children who are getting married and have their parents decide what to do for them.
Yeah. So Dr. Eve, we said we will start off with some solutions.
Yeah.
So for any young couple, they've gotten engaged, they're now going through that process of planning their wedding. What are some of the boundaries they can put up in place to at least try and minimize the conflict that will come with blending two families?
If you are unable to discuss the boundaries as a couple between yourselves and work out your own conflicts, because you will have conflict around who should be there, who should be standing, who should be invited. Should I be inviting my father, who I haven't spoken to for 20 years, my mother who abandoned me when I was a child, she now wants to come in and walk down the aisle with me. The couple have to decide that on their own. And if you can't, you shouldn't be getting married, because it's adult decision-making time, Zoe.
Yeah.
And I really feel strongly about that couples who are unable to put boundaries down should not be able to have an adult process like getting and being married to each other. So once you are firm and stable as a couple and you have your good values in place, you have your finances in place, then you will be much more able to say to family, this is actually what is going to be happening at this wedding. This is who's going to be in the retinue. This who isn't going to be in the retinue. This is going to be at the main table. This isn't going to be at the main table. This is going to be who's going to be at the ceremony. This is the kind of food that we want. This is how much money we want to be spending. So I like the idea that people get married much older so that they feel more confident in themselves. And as I say, if your relationship is not solid enough to have these important discussions, you really want to question, should you be marrying this person? Because that's the foundation, right? That's the basic foundation of it. The rest of it is kind of the fluff that goes around. And it's really important to be having family and friends there. The other big element is the religious element. How much of that do you want to be having at your wedding? Who do you want to be officiating at your wedding? And especially if there's an intercultural, interfaith wedding or marriage, those things are really important for people to be able to clear up before you bring in the messiness of what families definitely are going to be bringing into you.
Well, Dr. Eve's not going anywhere. We're going to still have one more moment with her. Feel free to join in on this conversation. Our lines are open. It's 021 430 9881. We'll be back with a good doc shortly.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Well, things are about to get spicy here as we are joined by the Lees from Kandasami's The Wedding. Of course, that movie coming out on Thursday, the 18th of April. Now, ladies, I know that you play Jennifer Kandasamy in the film. You play Shanti Naidu, and the two don't get along. Dr. Eve, they are the ones we are discussing today in our discussion. Now, when it comes to resolving conflict, I was telling Dr. Eve now, there's so much conflict going on leading up to the wedding, but often people forget there's a marriage afterwards.
Yes.
Now, what do you do after the wedding and you haven't been able to resolve the conflict?
You just don't see this family.
That's a good idea.
Isn't that a good? I mean, you don't have to, right? Because now you're not married to them. You have to still have contact, and I think you have to be respectful to them.
But in our case, we live next door to each other.
Oh,
so we,
my goodness.
Yeah.
You have to see each other?
The characters live next door, so we're forced to see each other every day over the fence.
Unfortunately, I have to look at her face every single day that I step out of my house. So.
Oh, dear. So this causes a lot of tension. Does it affect the children?
Yeah, well, in the movie, she's the mother of the groom, I'm the mother of the bride.
Right.
We could not be more different personalities. I'm Jennifer Kandasamy.
I'm the fun one.
she's Shanti Naidu. I'm less is more, and
boring.
she's more is more.
No, she's just boring. She's plain, she's dull, she's
I imagine that's
hoity.
boring.
Yes,
So I want
a little
understated.
anal, huh?
I wanted understated elegance, even with the wedding. She wants bows and frills and lace
No, I
and
like
bling,
bling.
and
Bling,
everything
bling.
all together. You know, so it can get quite kitsch with her. You know, so yeah.
Not kitsch, just fun, and everybody enjoying themselves, and everything at her house is boring and flat, and she says
Dr. Eve,
elegant.
This plays out in real life with two families coming together.
Yeah.
So as the couple getting married, how do they handle the two mom-in-laws to make sure that there's peace?
Yeah.
Is it possible?
I mean, I would professionally get a mediator in to mediate between the two, because you've chosen to live next door to each other for some reason or another. Do you consider the tension this brings to your children?
Yeah.
Are you aware of that? Is there any part of that that gets you to be a little more respectful and kind to each other when you consider this is hurting my children?
Well, we can't give away too much because movies only come out on
Thursday.
Thursday.
All right.
Although I have to say that given our different personalities, and this often plays out, that is why the film is so relatable, because there's something you can recognize in every one of the scenes and in these mums, meddling mums. And, you know, this happens, as you know.
Oh, yeah,
when there's a wedding, it's almost like you're not in charge. If you made that decision, why can't I make a decision?
Yeah, you see, so it point of
becomes
exclusion here.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
you talk about,
Yeah.
I don't want to be excluded, and publicly, I want to be shown ownership.
Yeah, and it becomes about you and what you want, and often parents forget. Mums
about their
forget
kids.
what the kids want.
Right, right.
and the
So just to
conflict
pick up
with
on Zoe's saying is what happens to these children afterwards and what happens to this relationship afterwards. I would hope that there would be a sense of either stepping back to allow your children the freedom. Because, I mean, you know, the thing that kind of keeps running for me in my head around my daughter's wedding is there's going to be grandchildren, perhaps?
Yes.
And how do you deal with that?
Yeah.
Right, that's a biggie. The wedding is, as Zoe says, one day, but then you really bonded together when these grandchildren. It's like, well, he looks like me. Oh, no, it looks more like me. Right? How do we get through that one?
Yeah. And they forget that sometimes mums want to feel like they own their kids. They find it difficult also to let go. And that becomes a problem as well. Like in the movie, Shanti is a very possessive mum, especially mums and their sons, you know.
Yes,
So there is a scene even when her husband says, when you make, you know, if you don't like her, you're making your son unhappy, you know. And you forget that sometimes. You get so caught up and it all becomes about you. You get caught up in the whole...
I think the whole movie centers around the bond of the mum, and it's actually a tribute to the mother. So, and it's just that hard journey of getting to that final stage of letting go and saying, you are now going to get married and I have to let you go.
Okay.
So,
Well, ladies, I would love to continue this conversation the whole morning, but we have run out of time. Thank you so much, JLo and May, for joining us. Kandasamis, it is coming out. The wedding, of course, this coming Thursday, the 18th of April. Do go and catch it. Dr. Eve, thank you for your words of advice, and we'll see you again next week.
Yes, absolutely.
Here we go.